Welcome one and all to Umami Manga. I'm Petter and this is James.
Hey!
And today we're talking about volume 2 of Kaiju number 8.
I feel like the first one was a bit of a higher note for the entire thing, and I think this one kind of. I mean, it still has some exciting moments, and I think the cliffhanger is exciting for what's to come. But in terms of overall enjoyment, I feel like I was really enjoying the first volume a little more.
I see. That's interesting. I think I may actually have enjoyed this one slightly more.
Oh, really?
Uh,
Okay.
I'll obviously go into detail later, but I think one reason why I really enjoyed this one was because some of the characters that hadn't gotten a lot of depth in the previous book ended up getting a lot more in this one,
That's true.
which I appreciated a whole lot.
Hmm.
And I liked the kind of, well, I guess the less upbeat tone of this one
Hmm. Yeah.
as well. I mean, I liked the first book as well, as I think I must have said when we talked about that. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed this one a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Very well then, let's talk about Kafka Hibino first. And according to the data that the Defense Force read about, well, when he ended up in his kaiju form, and because they got like some statistics on like some power level, then
Mm-hmm.
his kaiju form is one of the greatest kaiju in history, according to that, which is like, whoa, okay.
Jeez.
So that's interesting to get, I guess, to get that perspective on that.
Yeah. They call him a dai kaiju, which literally just means big or grand kaiju.
Right. Mm-mm. So that's interesting. I look forward to seeing, obviously, exactly. I guess the reasons for
Right,
that. To see him actually display that power. Well, more, I guess.
right, and it would be cool to see somehow how it compares or how he compares to you know the ones in the history books.
Oh
Is he
yeah.
is he in the top three, is he top five, or is
Right.
is there even a top five? Like how do they figure that out, or where is that recorded? Kind of a situation.
True. True. Right. Yeah. That would be cool. But Kafka achieved power level 1% with his
One.
combats.
Woo!
That was so
Those
funny.
gains.
I honestly, back in the first book, I probably hadn't expected that. I don't think. I just kind of figured, I guess he's not meant to use the suit. He has his kaiju form after all. But he actually was able to raise that, and so that gave me some hope that he could probably continue to raise that slowly but steadily.
That'd be really cool.
Uh
You
huh.
know, like slowly prove himself. There was the talk throughout the volume about the power wall
Right.
kind of a thing, and how certain characters were maybe at that wall or overcoming that wall,
Mm.
and then you have Kafka who's at 1%. But who knows? Like maybe his growth is just as kind of slow and steady, even at what is it, 32 or somewhere in his
Right.
30s.
I think he's 32, right? I'm pretty sure he's like exactly twice the age of Kikoru, right? Because she's 16. I think that's something I noted in my head
Ah,
at some
okay.
point. I think.
Well, even at his age, progress is possible, and little by little, maybe he'll get there. I don't know how long that would take,
Right. I
you
mean,
know,
exactly.
until it's acceptable. But
Yeah, because right. If that will end up being the case, then
uh-huh.
all of these characters will soon start like just kind of slowing down in their growth.
Right.
Slowing down at 20 to 30%, but he might just slowly just catch up and then even maybe slowly surpass them.
Yeah.
Uh, but who knows? I mean, I have no clue, but could be cool. Slow and steady wins the race, or something like that. I'm really enjoying the dynamic of him still keeping his kaiju a secret from most people, because I think I kind of
Hmm.
expected like I expected people to learn about it, like for it to become known to most people, after the previous volume, because he outed himself, or he showed himself obviously to Kikoru, and I just expected everyone else to get there and see it or something.
Uh-huh.
But turns out that's not the case at all, and so far it's just Kikoru and Reno that know. And I guess maybe Iharu.
Vice Captain.
Oh yeah, well yeah, the vice captain is maybe
Hoshina.
on the way of
He's
figuring it out.
suspicious of him.
Yeah, but Iharu might have seen it, or well, he's seen the kaiju form at least
Oh yeah.
at the end
True.
here.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know if he'll figure out or if he'll learn that it's Kafka. I guess we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
But well, at least for certain, there's only two other characters that know about it, at least.
Right.
And that's not something I had expected. But I'm really enjoying the fact that they're keeping it a secret, at least so far. It just makes it exciting, I think.
Yeah.
But again, I wonder if Iharu at least will learn, perhaps in the beginning of next volume, or who else, perhaps. But guess we'll see.
I think it's exciting because you're never sure like how long he'll be able to keep that up, especially if the kaiju keep on coming and they just grow stronger and stronger, or whatever the case may be. And who knows? Maybe this is one of those manga stories where he does keep his identity for the most part.
Right.
But
I mean, that would be kind of cool, actually, because it kind of, I guess it's a little bit of a, like, in the vein of, like, the old classic, like, superhero comics, like Spider-Man,
Right,
and,
yeah.
like, Batman, like, those kinds of things.
So that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, could be.
I really, just speaking of his kaiju form, I really love that punch he gave. I think it was the one that was attacking Kikoru. It kind of became like a rocket punch with his elbow. I don't remember if he's done that before.
Right.
It's been a while since I read Volume 1, but
Fair,
it kind of unlocks a piece of his elbow, and there's like this rocket kind of thing.
Yeah.
Apparatus comes out, and boosh, and it punches him so hard that all the flesh comes off.
Yeah.
And you see the skeleton. It was so cool.
Very cool. Yeah, that's something I like. If this ever becomes an anime, I like that. That's gonna be a very cool moment.
Right. It gives me major One Punch Man vibes,
Yeah.
Just
true.
not to say that they're the same character, but just how the punch decimates the person in front of them, and I feel like Saitama from One Punch Man did a similar thing.
For sure, yeah. But I was so happy to see that Kafka, like, to actually see Kafka being able to contribute to the mission that they were on.
Yeah.
In a way that only he could.
Right.
And, like, I think we talked about that a little bit last time, and yeah, so I was just really happy to actually see it here. Because that's not anything that anyone else could have really done. At least no one there at the fort, like, even the higher-ups, I don't think could have really figured that out, at least as easily as Kafka did. So that was really cool to see.
And it was incredibly important that he gosh dang it, contributed in that way, because no one else would have been able to find those organs, and by getting rid of that, you potentially stop a terrible invasion from happening, or something even worse from happening. I feel like.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like all of those, like that final wave basically might have been just much bigger if it hadn't been for that. Like maybe something like that. So yeah, that was great.
I thought his outburst when he became a cadet, and they're standing in line, and he just couldn't control himself. He's like, I'm gonna be there for you, Mina. Like, I'm gonna stand right there for you.
Yeah.
Like in the middle of I thought that was so funny, and
yeah,
and just the looks everyone gave him, and it was a funny moment.
Really
Definitely
funny.
was like bruh, not now.
Yeah, and he didn't even mean to say that out loud.
He just couldn't control himself.
That's kind of cute, honestly.
Yeah.
Just too excited. And actually, on that, like that was one of those kind of just cringy, awkward moments. But there were also like several just really cheesy kind of one-liners throughout this book that he pulled. Like there was like he said, "So kick back and relax." Like that was one thing he said, I think, to Kikoru at the beginning, and then there was "Let's see you try and come back after that, pal." Was also like it's got like this kind of like 80s action movies kind of vibes to it. And also like the at the end he said he had the one where he said, "The only one dying here is you, dirtbag."
Yeah.
That was like I imagine like Bruce Willis or someone like that. So
exactly.
Pulling up those lines.
Right.
So good.
Yeah, I
And,
agree. Like it's because it's the kind of story that it is. It is one of those action shonen
mhm.
type of things. So you kind of expect those cheesy one-liners to come out there.
Yeah, and I feel like
Um,
it's a conscious move, like a choice, like in
right.
the writing, and so I think that makes it funnier as well.
Agreed.
But something that I started wondering about when I read this volume was if there was something special about that kaiju that Kafka ate in the first book. Um,
I
like
mean,
if there was actually a special thing about it, or if just anyone can just eat a kaiju and become like that.
oh, okay.
Like that's what I mean. Well, we did see a talk, and I guess that was special about it. But just in general,
Hmm.
if just that's a thing, like that, I guess people just don't know about for some reason. If you eat a kaiju, you'll be able to turn into one. And if that is the case, then there's got to be others out there, right? Because it's got to have happened to somebody else if that is the case. And I guess if there isn't, then at least there should be other people like him out there soon.
Hmm.
Like eventually, at least. I guess. But obviously that all rides on the idea that that's just a general case about eating kaiju, but that's definitely not necessarily the case.
That's the thing, though. What even is the creature that he ate? Like,
Yeah,
I guess it is a kaiju, but like, and maybe you're right. Maybe anything or any kaiju can be eaten, and then therefore the human gains that transformation. Although,
mm,
eaten to what extent? Like, does it have to be eaten whole? Although, which
right.
that's kind of impossible for the majority of the kaiju. I feel like.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, and then I just thinking back. I remember that kaiju specifically said, "I found you." Like, or, he
Right.
seemed to be looking for Kafka specifically. So
Mm.
honestly, I'm more interested or curious if there's something special about Kafka.
Ooh.
And maybe that little kaiju too. Maybe there's something about both of them. But the fact that it was looking for him specifically just makes me wonder,
Hmm.
what's going down. But I do see what you're saying. It
Oh.
would be nice to have others like Kafka, who could transform, whether they be, villainous or eventually on his side.
Oh, dude, you just gave me an idea. Uh,
Oh, let me hear it.
what if? Well, so wasn't it like just help me refresh my mind here? But wasn't
Sure.
it established in the first volume that Kafka has to put some amount of effort into restraining himself to not turn into his kaiju?
I, I think so.
Like on some level, at
Yeah.
least. I think that
Uh huh.
was mentioned at some point.
I know it took him a while to get used to that.
Right, right, precisely. And so I wonder if, or well, or I'll did this loose little speculation here.
Mm-hmm.
What if Kafka was like? What if his actual basically, what if his kaiju form is his true form? Like he was born as a kaiju,
Oh,
and like
what?
that's his actual real self,
Whoa.
and that somehow and like something happened in his past. Like maybe he doesn't remember it. I guess
Uh huh.
where something happened that he
Dang.
assumed a human shape, but that little kaiju that I guess was looking for him helped him, I guess, go back to his true form or something like that.
That's interesting. And so that means it would have to been he would have to have uh, been assimilated into the human world for a while, like because we see him in the
Yeah,
flashbacks with Mina as a
true.
younger kid.
It would have happened at a really young age, I guess, in that case.
Yeah.
Oh.
So how does that go about? I don't know, but that's interesting. I really like that theory. I feel like it would fit so well with this type of a story.
It actually, yeah, it could. Hmm. Yeah, obviously, just a very fresh speculation right now, but
Hmm.
I'll keep it in mind.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah. Likewise, I like it.
Cool,
But
cool.
at the very least, I think that there might be something to do with Kafka. I mean, it could be simple as for some reason Kafka saved this little guy at one point, um, without realizing it. But it could be something even grander.
Yeah. But anything else on Kafka?
Just one little thing. Aiming for the vice captain spot.
Oh yeah.
So kind of a competition with Hoshina, if you will.
Exactly. Yeah, that. It was funny how that he actually like outright just said that that yes,
Yeah.
I am coming after your spot. Yeah. Yeah. So that's really exciting.
Hmm.
Then I would actually like to move on to the mushroom kaiju next, or specifically, well,
Okay.
the humanoid mushroom kaiju. There was like that main
Oh,
big
true.
old one was
Yeah.
also technically mushroom, but yeah, like the one from the previous volume that has a humanoid shape, and who even took a human looking form in this volume.
Right.
I think we talked last time about the possibility of him being like Kafka, like a human who's taking a kaiju form,
Hmm.
and based on the fact that he showed intelligence and stuff like that, and being more humanoid in the shape compared to the other kaiju and
Hmm.
stuff, seemed safe to assume. Then I guess that's still possible, but through this volume, I kind of suspected that maybe he isn't like maybe he is actually like the kaiju is actually his true form, and I guess this actually kind of works with what I said about Kafka earlier, or that theory about him perhaps being like his kaiju form being his true form. In that case,
Mm.
but basically what I was thinking about this mushroom kaiju was that maybe the kaiju form is his true form, and that he is somehow able to shapeshift into a human at will. Uh, just because, there were some parts that made it seem like he definitely wasn't human, like naturally,
Hmm.
because of the way like he was like, oh, I guess this is how you answer the phone, like stuff like that. Like he isn't from a human society, at least.
Absolutely. I think that the evidence put forth here shows that yes, he's not a human. He is a kaiju. I don't understand what exactly that means per se, like why he can talk, why he's able to transform into a human.
Mm-hmm.
You know, is that just his special powers as him? I'm not sure, but it is interesting to think about. And I go back to your theory about Kafka maybe being an actual kaiju. Maybe this is just extreme speculation. Maybe there is a tribe of people of some sort that are humanoid kaiju who can think for themselves and are
Mm-hmm.
just rampaging beasts.
Right.
And for some reason they have a motive to conquer the human world. And for whatever reason, maybe Kafka as a child transformed into a human and lost the ability to transform back until he came back in contact with that little kaiju thing.
Uh-huh.
Um, and so maybe this mushroom guy is from that world and had no experience with human, but possesses the ability to transform into one.
Precisely. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, right. And I had also like thought about like kind of in those like along those lines even before I brought up my ability or my ability, my theory on Kafka.
Uh
Uh,
huh.
and yeah, it seems all the more possible now. Obviously, it's still really just speculation, but
Yeah,
I think it's an
absolutely.
interesting theory though about
Hmm.
that whole thing.
But at the very least, the mushroom guy is for sure unaware of how humans really think and operate. The phone is mysterious to him, and for some reason, he feels like he needs this alias. I don't know if he can keep it up now because you know they unless the two cadets die, uh, or the two uh, Ichikawa and shoot, what was his name?
Iharu.
Yeah, Iharu. If they if they die, then I guess the store's safe. Maybe I don't know. Um,
Yeah, yeah, right.
but yeah, it doesn't seem like he'd be able to do that
Mm,
anymore.
true, true. And I get well, actually, and if we just put aside that whole theory about perhaps both Kafka and the mushroom kaiju being actual kaiju that are able to take human forms, if we put that theory
Hmm.
aside for a bit, um, a theory that I thought of before that about the mushroom kaiju was that maybe he was actually born a regular human, but then at a very young age, perhaps. Yeah, it would have had to be at a really young age. He, I guess, became a kaiju like Kafka became a kaiju. Like
Hmm.
maybe he ate a kaiju, like whatever turns a person into a kaiju.
Hey, Toddlers put whatever they want in their mouths, man. Like,
True,
it's
right?
awesome.
Yeah. So like, if we just don't think of the idea that they were initially kaiju, like that whole thing, then maybe he became a kaiju through that. If anyone can just become that,
Hmm.
and that after having become a kaiju, he, I guess, somehow ended up living amongst kaiju, and like that, maybe that would be an explanation as to why he is unfamiliar with a lot of like human society stuff. Just an alternative theory, I guess.
Right. It's definitely interesting. I just wonder. It, it would have, like you said, it have to be at a young age. But who would have raised him? Like, like I
Right.
guess he just survived on his own, or maybe he's a lot younger. I don't know.
Like the other kaiju helped him out, I guess, maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe.
Although I mean, I prefer the first theory about them being kaiju from the start, and
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
liking that one.
Mm.
Even if Kafka is not actually, truly a kaiju, that theory that
Mm.
we are thinking of,
Uh,
the idea that uh, the mushroom guy is part of another civilization, I is one that I seem to like,
yeah.
or feel like is more likely than him being an actual human being.
That civilization could still exist, though. Like a civilization like that could still exist, and maybe he was raised in that society, but as a human who turned into a kaiju. Maybe.
But then, like the civilization, why do they exist? Are they also kaiju that were once humans?
Uh,
Like why make it confusing like that?
I don't know.
Ah.
Hmm.
Anyway, I think with this mushroom guy, we don't really understand what his motives are per se, unless he
No.
just wants to create chaos, which he's doing a good job at.
Yeah.
But it also seems he's trying to take one of the soldiers as a test subject.
Yeah.
Particularly Ichikawa, it seemed like.
Yeah, he was interested in him. I guess he saw, like, he noticed the high skill in Ichikawa.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely interesting. And he is working with other people because he was talking to somebody on the phone. And like,
Duh.
so there are others there
Huh. Yeah,
too.
good point.
Whether they're like, and I wonder if they are other kaiju like him, or if maybe they're other, like, they're for some reason humans that for
Oh
whatever reason
gosh,
are
yeah.
working with the kaiju. Like, I
Uh-huh.
don't know. I guess kind of the fact that he
Yeah.
was talking to that person through a phone, which is like a human device, makes me fear that maybe the person on the other line was just a normal human that for whatever reason does
Mm-hmm.
that. Yeah, but
Agreed.
that's really
Yeah.
exciting.
Like surely they would have their own ways of communication that they wouldn't be needing a phone, unless
Hmm.
unless they can't communicate the same way in the human world as they would in their own world. But the more I think about it, I think maybe it is some human, um, which is like messed up.
Yeah, totally.
Some mad scientists out there.
But we learned that he wears himself out when he revives the kaiju, and like he can't really do it endlessly, which is good. I was happy to learn that, and I hope that Reno caught that because I imagine
Uh
it
huh.
might become pretty useful information. Because I think he was the only one who really heard him then, right there. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
And there's also this interesting thing about him being able to create this undetectable pocket of space that he can supposedly he can keep himself hidden in that, and he can also kind of keep anything within it from leaving that pocket without his permission. Yeah, that's interesting, just kind of power wise.
It definitely seems to be stronger than he was, at least slightly stronger than he was from the previous volume, don't you think?
I thought about that because he displayed all of this. Well, obviously he showed more power here than
Mm-hmm.
arguably, because as he said, reviving kaiju exhausts him. So maybe because he had revived several kaiju in the previous volume, and maybe he was just out of energy at the time
Mm.
after having done that. So maybe that's why he just bailed.
Yeah, I could see that.
But yeah, he's definitely very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else on that thing?
Nope.
Let's move on to Kikoru Shinomiya. Last time we talked about whether or not she was a tsundere, and I still don't think she was one, or I don't think she gave off those vibes in the first book. But I think since after Kafka saved her life, I feel like in this book there were definitely a couple instances where she gave off tsundere vibes.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of like a mixture between himedere, which is the word I was looking for.
You've done some research on that.
Yeah, I've done my research. So it is kind of a mixture between himedere and tsundere.
I see.
Himedere being like the princess kind of ojo-sama type of a thing.
Right.
But I think you're right. There's a couple of instances where she's very, it's like, I'm not happy that you said that, but thank you anyway, or something.
Yeah, right. And also like when her suit detected like her heartbeat or her heart rate like increasing.
Yeah.
Like that, I think that was the bit, pretty much a tsundere moment. Which I don't think really was there in the first book, but himedere might be more of an overall kind of thing for her, perhaps.
Yeah.
On the tsundere side of it, though, like, because I feel like if you just boil it down to what a tsundere is, it's like someone who likes somebody else but doesn't want to admit it, and instead of admitting it, they try to treat the person in some sense badly, like ish. And I feel like we got that here for her toward Kafka. However, the liking toward him, I'm hoping it's not going to be like her developing a romantic feelings for him. For two reasons, I hope that's not where it's going to lead. Because I mean, I think it's perfectly fine to be a tsundere and like someone not romantically, and I hope that's what it's going to be. Because, well, first of all, there's the age difference. As I said before, I think she's like half his age. That's like,
yeah,
yeah,
well, when people are adults, it's fine, but she is 16, so it's like,
right. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Although
so,
I guess it also depends on the double. Like, are we talking? We're talking 12 years, which is long, but not terrible. Or no, not 12 years. Excuse me.
I think we're talking 16 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
like 30 and a 60-year-old, that's kind of maybe a bit much. But anyway, that's whatever. I get it, and I agree that I wouldn't necessarily want to see them together or grow any romantic feelings with each other.
Yeah, because there was that age reason, and my other reason for, I guess, hoping it won't go that way is because I feel like there's something between Kafka and Mina that we'll get eventually, potentially.
You think?
So
I mean,
yeah,
it's got to be that. I mean, I honestly don't want it to be a loser type of situation, a love triangle type of a thing like that. No, like let's avoid that. Can we please?
Hopefully, yeah. If I'm gonna go into shipping stuff, like Kikoru and Reno, like they could be cute together. Obviously, we don't really have reason to kind of really ship them yet, or maybe not ever. I don't know, but like just if we are thinking about shipping anyway, like I think they would be pretty cute together.
I mean, I definitely like Kafka and Kikoru's just dynamic.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty good.
It's great.
But like you're saying, just because that they gel together and have a good friendship doesn't necessarily mean they need to be together romantically.
Totally. Anyway, I thought it was cool that she hasn't outed Kafka to anyone. She has kept that secret so far, and she seems to be pretty cool about that. I mean, given she, he saved her life. So I guess keeping that secret is a small price to pay. But yeah, I think that's nice, and it's good to have another person in on that secret now.
Right, especially someone as strong as Kikoru. I think would be a great benefit. And I think it would be a shame if she were to rat him out at this point. It is what I'm thinking. Like, what would she have to gain from that? Because he literally saved her from a stronger kaiju, and you would only really kind of strengthen your force by keeping him there. But if it's true that she tells them and then they just try to kill him, basically, you lose out on a strong ally. So while I understand her reasonings are probably because yeah, you saved me, but it's also pretty smart to have him still there.
True. Plus, as she said, like basically what she told him about what would happen to him if the defense force would find out, basically torture 24/7. Like
Yeah.
she most likely wouldn't wish that upon him. So with that in mind, she probably wouldn't out him for that reason as well. um,
Yep, I agree.
she said that she would not hesitate to kill him if he would end up posing a threat.
Hmm.
Which obviously, like the way we know him, like he wouldn't. There's no way that he
Right.
would pose a threat to humanity. But considering the theory that we had before about him, like perhaps the kaiju being his actual true form, if that information would come out, if that even is the case, and if that information came out, and if she would learn, then maybe things would, like maybe she would interpret that in a way that would seem like he is more of a threat than he is. Maybe like depending on how that information comes out, and the circumstances surrounding it. But if the truth comes out that he's not human at all, like actually not a human, then things might change, at least for a time.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
just her line about not hesitating to kill him or whatever she said, if
Hmm.
he would become a threat to the humans, then well, I guess it could potentially be an interesting thing.
Yeah, I could see that. I I really like Kafka's reply to that in that I think he says if I get that way, it it almost says just like yes, please stop me or please kill me or something like
Yeah,
that.
I liked that actually.
Yeah. So in that sense, like maybe there could be something to that,
Hmm.
but then again, yeah, what would happen if they found out that he was not human at all?
Mm-hmm.
I almost think that she would be okay with that, especially if he was fighting this whole time against the kaiju. Like, what would it matter if he was or not? Um, but like you said, there could be circumstances where it seems like he's actually fighting against humanity, and maybe
Right.
if they find that out, then that could probably put a strain on things.
Perhaps. Right. Yeah. So I guess we'll see. Obviously, this all rides on that theory being correct, but
True,
uh,
yeah.
yes, yes. Anything else on her?
Yeah, so gets the highest grade. Of course, she would do that. 55% power after 2 months, I think it is.
Yeah, I can't
That
remember what she was
that's awesome.
at. Like she was definitely at least in the 50s, I think, though. In the previous
Oh, was
volume,
she in the
right?
50s? I thought she was like in the 40s or
Or,
something.
maybe. But yeah.
Well, it's been a
Anyway,
while.
yeah. No, but she's doing great anyway. Yeah.
Uh huh. I love I love when they tell Kikoru about Kafka's power and how he got it. She's like, man, poor people will eat anything. It's oh my gosh, you can't say that.
Yeah, and also like the way she was drawn, also there, she was
What a
really
little Joe-sama.
yeah, oh yeah. It was great. Was that it on her?
Yeah, that's all I got.
Then moving on to Reno Ichikawa.
Yeah.
He's improving faster than the rest of the recruits apparently, and he performed really well on his first mission. That just started here.
Mm-hmm.
Like especially like in his, well, he was slaying some yoju by himself, I think, and then obviously the showdown with the mushroom kaiju was, he did really well.
Mm.
And Soshiro even well, he seems to think Reno has potential to reach captain rank, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, he's really improving, and he's showing himself to be adaptable and quick-witted, changing his ammo, or finding strategies that work better for his style. The ice bullets and all that, or ice shells, whatever they call them. I
Right.
thought that was
Yeah.
a really creative and strategic way of understanding his strengths and utilizing that to his benefit. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that, and I wonder if if he will. Well, I hope he will continue to use these freeze rounds, and kind of, well, maybe that's going to become his speciality in some sense.
Uh-huh.
like further down the line if he continues to kind of honing his skills with that specific ammo or whatever. Could be pretty cool. Like his niche, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. He's at 18% right now of the power. So he's getting close to those 20%ers, I guess.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like he's going to be hitting that wall like Iharu.
Precisely. Yeah. Yes. Soshiro at least doesn't seem to think he will.
I like, well, and part of his improvement, like the reason why he's, well, I mean, there could be more reasons besides him being just prodigy in a way. Uh, Prodigy, that's the word, prodigy.
Mm.
he he wants to do it so that Kafka never has to transform. Like he wants to be strong enough that their last resort doesn't happen.
Yeah, that was really sweet.
Unfortunately, that's not the case, but
Yeah.
I agree, it was really sweet.
Yeah, and also how he kind of not only does he want to help Kafka not having to go kaiju, but he looks up to Kafka to the point where he in some case or in some sense strives to be like him, like how he recalled the moment when Kafka saved his life from the Yonju, really early on, and how he did the similar thing for Iharu in this volume. I think that's also really sweet.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely mirrored that whole situation.
Completely, yeah.
The first volume. Mm-hmm.
Anything else on Reno?
Nope.
Then let's talk about Iharu Furuhashi. He views Reno as his rival, and I kind of like. Well, it's definitely like a one-sided rivalry. Like I don't think Reno views Iharu as a rival at all, or at least not as much. I think. But I really liked how at the start of this book, that rivalry that Iharu felt, it was, I would say kind of hostile in some sense, like, well, not violent, but it was definitely a little hostile to some degree. But by the end of the book, I think Iharu sees Reno more as a motivator than a competitor. Kind of. I think it's still a rivalry to him, but it's in a more positive light, I think, than it was at the beginning of the book. At least that's how I read it.
Yeah, no, I agree. He's definitely gained respect for him, and also kind of accepted his feelings in that he's not upset at Reno for being amazing per se. He's upset at himself for not being able to improve. And so realizing that and showing his willingness to save Reno, like I really like that growth.
Totally.
And I think it goes from just seeing this younger guy as a rival to, being a friend, who's still your rival.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, in general, Iharu seems to be very competitive anyway.
True.
But I like how he goes from just being pure competitive punk kind of guy to, really caring for Ichikawa and everything.
Yeah, right. I honestly really loved that character growth. He is one of the, I'd say, two characters in this volume that I really enjoyed. I guess, the amount of content we got on them, and in his case, in Iharu's case, it's definitely the character growth at the end of the volume that I really appreciated. How he really got a lot more chill, or he learned to kind of chill out a bit more, since he was the one. Well, initially he didn't want to be the one to run and fetch reinforcements, but then after he came back, he was the one to suggest that he will be Reno's backup, or he will back Reno up, basically, and like not be the main fighter, I guess, in that fight, and he suggested that himself, which I think shows that he learned to see the bigger picture, kind of. And to get some more kind of insight into himself and understand himself and his own limitations better. And he acknowledges Reno's skill, and he learns from Reno, and he isn't afraid to admit that even by the end of it. I think that was also really sweet. Like with the ammo switching and whatnot. Like he kind of was inspired by Reno to use another type of ammo and stuff like that.
For sure. I guess the one last thing I'll say about him is he seems to, well, he does idolize Mina as much as, well, it seems about everyone of those recruits, at least the guys, seem to
Right.
idolize her in a way.
Yeah, totally.
That whole interaction in the sento, in the onsen or
Mm.
bathhouse, English come to me. It was really funny. Kind of see how jealous they were that Kafka was the childhood friend.
Uh-huh.
But it's also touching in a way how Mina and her just awesomeness has inspired all these guys.
Yeah.
Whether they are just extremely attracted to her or just really impressed and want to be a soldier or hero like her.
Right. I mean, I imagine it could be a combination of those two things.
The fact that Iharu, at least to his backstory, and I don't think, maybe we'll see it more in depth, but I don't have my hopes up in that, he was saved by Mina. It kind of spurred him on and was his motivation for a long time.
Yeah.
But it also kind of helped him to realize that, maybe my role is not to be the number one hero.
Right. Yeah.
Or at least not at this point. You know what I mean? Because, like you said, he becomes the backup in a way instead of being like the main force.
Yeah, right. Anything else on him?
No.
Then I want to talk about Soshiro Hoshina next, actually, and he is the other guy that to me really grew for me this volume.
Nice.
In fact, I would like to say that Soshiro is the character that grew the most for me, in my liking of the character, improved the most in this volume. I really like all of the nuance that we kind of was added to his character. I thought was really interesting. The last time, I remember I was a bit wary of him. I was maybe a little suspicious that he would do something bad, something drastic. I think because I had the thought that what if he's got his sight on Mina's position, like he wants to kind of usurp her or do something. Something immoral, perhaps. I don't know. Or in some sense, I got a bad vibe from him. However, I don't really feel that way anymore at all after this volume. I like how he's trying to figure it all out. Like, he's suspicious of Kafka for good reasons. He's a smart guy, evidently, as we learn here.
Yeah.
And I like how he was the one that allowed Kafka to get recruited in the end. Mm-hmm. Although it was all just to keep an eye on him, but still.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree with your assessment on Hoshino, Hoshina, excuse me, in that he definitely changes, at least to the reader, because throughout the first volume and for a good majority of the second volume, he doesn't seem very serious. Like, yes, he's testing people, and yeah, he was not very merciful in who gets in and who gets out, but he always was trying to crack a joke or, seemed to be trying to have a good time. But then in this one, it seemed like there was more to his silliness than at first. Like, he's actually quite serious about, and quite suspicious about people.
Yeah.
And he's intuitive and takes notice of these small things.
Right. Yeah, I think that's really cool.
So, and on top of all that, like, he shows why he's vice captain and just really quick with the sword and graded.
Yeah.
In combat.
Oh my god, slicing that kaiju in half, like in a split second using the blades was so cool. Like, it took me. I didn't understand what happened. Like, when I read it the first time, what the hell? Like, the kaiju just opened up behind him. Like, what? Did I miss something? It was so good. And also really cool to learn that he comes from a long line of kaiju slayers dating all the way back to the Muromachi era, which is I think 500 or 600 years ago, like a long time ago.
Yeah.
So that's super cool. And I guess just think for the world building, it's so cool because obviously it's basically the real world, kind of, that it takes place in, except kaijus exist. I think that's it's so
Right.
cool that there's always been kaijus, even in like the old days, like in like throughout history, there's
Hmm.
always been kaijus existing. Um, I just think that that's just cool or interesting to think about in that way.
Yeah. And I guess my last thing on him is he says shouldn't get too friendly with coworkers,
Yeah.
which is usually meaning death is common in this field of work.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so we haven't seen anything like that yet. Uh, maybe that's just more of a dark message than anything.
Yeah. Well, actually, because he said that during Reno's, well, basically duel with the mushroom kaiju, I was thinking that, man, what if he does die here actually? Like,
Oh my
because
gosh.
there have been, I felt like that could have maybe made sense, given like
Yeah.
there have been talk about him being so promising as like becoming a captain, and he'd like built up this strong bond with Kafka, and even to a degree with Iharu.
Fair enough.
And so I figured his death could have been pretty impactful with all of that in mind.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm glad it didn't happen ultimately. But that line definitely, it was important, I think, in that case, in that sense.
Yeah. Agreed. And technically, this battle is not over yet, right?
Mm,
Uh,
true.
but granted, now Kafka's the ones fighting, so maybe everyone else will be able to stay safe.
Yeah,
But
hopefully.
yeah.
But moving on to Mina Ashiro next. She actually spoke to Kafka, although
Yeah.
very briefly though.
Yeah.
um, and she seemed to be very happy after his outbursts during that induction ceremony. Or well, she smiled at least.
Yeah, yeah. Gotta can't can't reveal too much.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I had expected more from her this volume. But at the same time, it's kind of exciting that Matsumoto is kind of keeping her, well, just kind of teasing, like continuing to tease us a
Hmm.
bit longer, I guess. Because I mean, I still
Uh-huh.
expect her to become more of a prominent character at some point.
Yeah.
But I guess we're not there quite yet.
I mean, Kafka still has that goal of becoming, well, I guess at this point, vice captain, but being by her side,
Hmm,
becoming someone who could fight alongside her. So
right.
I think, yeah, definitely that's important. But like we were saying previous volume, I hope that in one of these volumes she starts getting that character progression, or just a little more understanding about her, so
Yeah,
that we can really start caring about her more.
absolutely. Definitely look forward to that.
I wrote as I was writing my notes, I was like, she's really hard on Kafka, or kind of not showing her bias at all, because she wasn't even gonna let him join the force. Um,
True.
and obviously, uh, Hoshina ends up uh, advocating for him and gets him in. And then as his punishment for speaking out, she gives him 100 push-ups, and he says, "What? That's soft for you." So it's like, oh, so I guess I guess she is kind of being a bit merciful, or
Oh
showing her
yeah.
soft side towards him.
Right. Fair. But then Soshiro was like he started counting up and then started counting down when he was doing the push-ups. Or was that in maybe that was only in the physical book. I don't know.
Oh, really?
Because it might have been considered like a bonus
What
page
chapter is
perhaps.
that?
Like because at the end of that chapter, like the very last page, which maybe that was just like technically in like between chapters page. There's like just a panel, like a page with just a single panel where Kafka is doing the push-ups,
Uh
and Soshiro is standing there counting for him, and he's like, okay, 81, 82, 83, 82, 81.
huh.
And Kafka is just really
Wow, he's
furious.
really a trickster.
More on Mina. She uses 96% of her combat suit in this volume for
Yeah,
that rifle thing, the cannon.
insane.
Yeah, and the way it sounded to me when I read that, it didn't necessarily seem like that was her limit necessarily. Like maybe she was just using 96% for that specific move, but maybe she could have used more if she wanted to or something. I don't know. Like maybe that's not actually the case. It was just kind of the vibe I got from it. So like maybe she actually can use all of the 100%, but or maybe this is just where her limit is. But I mean, at the very least, it's crazy, or it's really good.
I'm very curious how that measures up to Kafka's power. Like let's take that rocket punch. You know,
Yeah, right.
How does that measure up? Because yeah, she damaged that mushroom monster pretty well, but I think she had to take a couple shots.
True.
To fully take it down. But Kafka took down that one kaiju with only one punch.
Yeah.
Different kaiju, so maybe different scenario.
True. Yeah, hard to compare, I guess.
Still, like, you know, it just makes you wonder: is Kafka just far and beyond stronger at this point, or are they pretty similar?
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I've been kind of wondering about that since the last volume, but I still feel like it's hard to really know.
Yeah.
They would have to be up against, I guess, the same exact opponents and like see how they would fare.
True.
I guess.
Oh man, I don't know. I don't know if I want to see them fight each other.
Oh, each other, right? Oof.
Well, yeah. Like I would love to see them working together at some point, fighting the same monster.
Yeah.
But fighting each other. Oh man.
That would be rough.
Oh man.
It would be fun though. Ultimately, I think.
Yeah, it would be fun.
Anything else on Mina?
Nope.
Then, well, I only have 3 very minor characters left. In some cases, it's mostly just more a shout out than anything else. But Aoi Kaguragi is the most ripped out of the recruits, the tanned guy, and well, the only even noticeable thing I have on him, or notable thing I have on him, is that I think he looks a lot like Scar from Full Metal Alchemist. I just wanted to point that out.
I agree with that, but he also reminds me of Archer from Fate's Stay Night or Fate Zero or whatever.
It's been a long time since I saw
Fate Stay Night. Yeah.
I have seen Fate Stay Night and Fate Zero. It's been a long time though, so I don't have his face in my mind right now. But
I don't think he would be in Fate Zero.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it would be Fate Stay Night.
Gotcha. I'm gonna have to look this up later.
The red. He has red clothes, and he's an archer, obviously. But he has tan skin. I'm pretty sure his hair is I think it's kind of white. Anyway.
Gotcha.
it reminded me of him, but I totally see Scar as well.
Then there's Haruichi Izumo, the other guy, the guy with long hair, also one of the recruits. I don't know, I don't really have anything at all on him, but I mean, both of these guys, I feel like there will be more on them later on. At least I'm assuming that.
Potentially, yeah.
Since they seem to be sort of in the same camp as Iharu, kind of. And Iharu obviously got some pretty good content here, I think. So I guess we'll see. But then there was also the platoon leader, Nakanoshima, who seemed to be kind of thirsty for some of the recruits. And I thought that was funny. I hope we'll see more of her. Maybe she'll get more of a prominent role, perhaps, or maybe not.
But here's the thing: I can't figure out if it's a boy or a girl.
Oh, like it looked like a girl to me, but maybe not.
I'm not sure. Like,
I mean, it might not be.
So this is the only time I'll do this. Coming from someone who's read it before, I remember being confused. So I don't know why I was confused is the thing. So
okay.
So I can't say yes or no. You know, like I'm like, okay. Wait, why was I confused? Like maybe I
see.
I don't know. So
interesting.
For the time being, I was calling them a girl.
Gotcha. I mean, sure, it could go either way. But yeah. Did you have any other character you wanted to talk about?
No, I not that I know of.
Then on to predictions. And I had a hard time coming up with predictions other than, well, basically what might happen right where we are, like right in the scene where the story left off. But right here, I'm thinking showdown between Kafka and Mushroom Kaiju.
Right.
Maybe because the Mushroom Kaiju still seems to have energy, left. Because last time he just kind of bailed at the end, and I speculated that might be because he was just exhausted from having revived and like increased the power of those kaiju there. But here he seems to still be fighting fit.
Yeah.
But it's hard to say. Like at the very least, I'm hoping for a conversation between them. Like that's, I guess, the minimum that I'm gonna predict for that. But I mean, some fighting could be cool as well.
Agreed. Not much that I can predict.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that.
Yeah. But like we said, I really like your theory about Kafka being kaiju thing, and I agree that I want to see more Mina, or like get like characterization for Mina.
Yeah. For sure.
But yeah, I'm just gonna just stop talking so that I mean I could go like speculation I have, but I don't want to even in my speculation kind of reveal anything, so I'll just
smart
keep my mouth shut. But I am excited for this next volume. I think there's some pretty good stuff that happens.
Definitely. And I wonder who else is going to find out, perhaps potentially, about Kafka's kaiju form.
Yeah.
If anyone. Like, maybe no one will, but I wonder if someone does, maybe then who. I still think Iharu, there's a decent chance he might find out just because he's there right now.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously depends on how the scene goes, but there's I think a chance there at least. And then there's also, of course,
Soshiro.
Precisely, who's kind of on his on the trail to uncovering.
He's already suspicious as it is.
Right. Which again, I love that so much. He is one of my favorite characters. I would say. I don't know. I probably wouldn't say he's like my number one favorite character, but he's or maybe like I don't know. Anyway, he's one of my favorite characters after this book. He really grew for me here. And it's so funny because I kind of disliked him after the previous one. So
yeah,
it was a big growth for him.
Agreed. I think right now my favorites are Kafka, Kikoru, and Hoshina. Like I really like their characters.
Those three definitely, I think for me as well. Yeah.
I really want to like Mina though.
Of course. Soon, hopefully. Well, if there isn't any other predictions, there's just one last thing I'll just mention real quick about this book, actually. I didn't actually read it for my first time until today, even though
really?
I've had the book. I got the book in the mail like 2.5 weeks ago or so. So I've been able to read it. I just for some reason didn't. And then today, James messaged me on Discord and said he was done taking notes for today's recording, and at that point in time, I hadn't even started reading for my first time. So yeah, I actually, something that's so nice about this time of the year, beginning of May, it's starting to get warmer outside, and something I always do whenever I can is to read my manga books in the park. I just walk to the park and I sit down on the bench in the park and just sit there and read the book if the weather is nice. And this was the first time I did that this year since the weather is finally kind of gotten there now. So I read the book in the park, kind of by the canal on a bench. It was really, really pleasant. And then like just for my first time, just reading it for myself. And then I went home and I reread it after having had some food and took some notes on it.
That sounds relaxing.
So yeah, I read this book twice today.
And actually, I finished my notes yesterday.
Oh wow!
But I didn't message until today.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I was watching the NBA playoffs, and I mean I'm invested in the playoffs, but sometimes I for some reason I felt like, you know what, I can get my notes done at the same time, so I reread the volume there.
Oh, cool. Nice. Yeah, a lot of ways to read a manga.
Indeed.
But I guess that is all for this week.
Yeah.
And so, if you enjoy our content, you can follow us on Twitter at UmamiManga, and it would be lovely if you'd like to support us by either rating our show on the podcast platforms or subscribing to our channel Umami Manga on YouTube. If you like this episode, please share it with anyone you think might enjoy it too. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time when we'll talk about Volume 3. Bye-bye.
See you later.